Monday night, you're watching. What are you thinking as that play unfolds when you have the tackle by Hamlin with T. Higgins?
Whew, so much to unpack here. Let's take it live in the moment as I'm sitting on the couch with my 7-year-old son who loves football even more than I did as an active player. He's just all into it. We're watching it, and in live time, the way that T. Higgins turned upfield made me as a defender say, oh, like this was an abrupt change of what you anticipated. That is not placing blame on him. That's just saying, oh, this, you caught me off guard. Now, when he caught him off guard with the head, helmet, crown to the neck, head area, tackle, all of that force also you're caught off guard, and it landed right on Damar Hamlin. Fine, he jumps up. Only thing that happened to me in that moment was like, whoo, that would have caught me. That would have hurt me a little bit. Whatever. He pops up, everything's fine. And then you realize everything's not fine. And what a tragic visual to see. Someone fighting for their life, not fighting in the NFL football sense for the next yard or the extra yard or for a touchdown, fighting to stay alive. And literally, I started crying. My son asked me two things in the moment. He's like, Dad, is he going to live? And then he follows that up by saying, Dad, I'm glad that didn't happen to you when you played football. And that's why I was crying, fighting it back to stay strong and show face for my family. But I really was emotional because I've taken thousands of hits. I've given thousands of hits. And to ever see that can be the reality, because I've never seen that on the football field. I've never experienced the death of any player. That's actually a conversation in our home. My son always asks, Dad, has anyone ever died playing football? And I always say heat exhaustion, training camp, but no one's ever died playing football. And in that moment, that was in jeopardy.
What about the idea of continuing to play that game at any point? Did you sense that the NFL was leaving open that window?
Absolutely, they were. And this is going to sound harsh, but they should have had to contemplate leaving that window open. Let me tell you why. The example I have is my mother passed away when I was an active player, 2005. And I remember when she passed away, the first thing I thought is life would never be the same. I thought I would never stop being preoccupied with the loss of my mother. And then I also thought going to bed that night that the sun wouldn't rise. I also thought that the clouds would cover the whole planet. I just thought everything was going to be different. And you know what happened the next day? This is the moment where I realized you have to compartmentalize no matter what you're going through in tragedy. I had to go to the doctor. I had to go to the mortuary. I had to go to the florist. I had to start making plans. Point being, there is someone's job, no matter how they're emotionally affected, to still keep the train on the tracks. They are preoccupied with something else. I fast forward to my mother's funeral, people are cracking jokes. People are laughing like, what are you going to serve when we get back to the house? And everyone's in a different lane, affected emotionally, but different tasks at hand. It felt harsh for me even to think about that. But I was talking to my wife in the moment. I was like, you know, they have something to think about in this moment. Are they going to continue? Next man up mentality, or are they really going to stop this game? So it's not to say that they made the wrong or right decision. It meant that they had a decision to make.
Yeah, and I just wondered if they knew that Hamlin was going to be okay an hour later, and the players are still there, still in uniform, in their locker room. I wonder if they would have tried to squeeze that in.
Oh, absolutely. Like the bottom line interest was to continue to play that football game. The only thing that abrupted that was the fact that you didn't know how he was doing in terms of his condition. So when they started to look and say, oh, he fell down, oh, he got a concussion, whatever first steps, what you're thinking, the normal response. In that moment, the NFL is thinking, okay, you guys got a few minutes, probably go to the sidelines and we'll go back. But when it became a life and death situation without closure, the NFL finally had to suspend that game because they knew that those players couldn't come back to that field without closure. Any other injury we've seen, including concussion, including Tua, who stands up and then just passes out. When you have some form of closure or understanding of what's going on, you can proceed. But when you don't, obviously the NFL made the right choice finally, and they had to suspend it.